Hello, everybody. Welcome to All Villa, No Filler. Please remember to like and subscribe. And subscribe if you're delighted that Aston Villa just beat Leicester City 2-1. Phew. That was stressful. And that has been the general way of it with Aston Villa this season. We simply do not make life easy for ourselves, do we? I was hiding behind the couch, looking behind it, and I found notes from 20 years ago, like pound notes. So there's that 20 quid my grandma gave me in 2004 or whenever. It was just, oh, phew. Well, God Almighty, we needed to win, didn't we? Because the Premier League, it just feels a little bit like the Newcastles, the Chelseas, the Arsenals. They're all just starting to get away, aren't they? And if Villa want to really keep up our push for potential Champions League places, and let's face it, Europe, Europa League, Conference League, whatever it is, we got to keep on winning, and we did. Leicester now. For any Leicester fans watching, I think that Ruud van Nistelrooy set Leicester up pretty smartly. Made it very, very difficult for Aston Villa to play through them through the centre, particularly in the first half. They were so compact. It was basically, if you passed it into the middle, you had 400 million people there, all in the centre, all just nudging each other aside and, the ball bouncing off them and just nothing really getting through. And I think in games like that, that is where you really do miss Pau Torres' incisive passing. I thought Tyrone Mings was largely excellent against it, actually, and there were two major blocks he made towards the end. One when Decordova-Reid got into the area just behind, I think he got in behind Ramsey or Matson, one of the two. Found himself in space and Mings getting there to block it out. That was huge. And there was actually a moment as well, which probably few will remember, but around the 80-minute mark where Vardy gets it, he cuts back inside and Mings manages to block him from getting back inside and hitting it. So, I think it's a funny one with the Mings Torres thing where with Pau Torres, I feel like Aston Villa look a better football team in the sense on the ball. I think Torres is an absolutely brilliant defender. I think Mings himself is also a brilliant defender. It's such a different way. But it's weird with Mings, I feel more confident that Villa will concede fewer goals. But with Pau Torres, I feel more confident that Villa will find a way through when they need to. It's a bizarre dichotomy, that one. It is what it is, and good for Mings to come back. He's not played a lot for a year and a half, and I think he did well today, largely. So, yes, first half, I think Leicester set up pretty well. I think Bilal El Khanous looks like a very good player, actually, technically very nice. But they didn't really create anything at all. And I think Aston Villa, we huffed and puffed, it reminded me a bit of Sheffield United last season when they came. They set up, I think with them I feel like it was a 5-4-1 they did. Today it was more of a 4-4-2 sort of matching Villa's formation. But it felt like Leicester then would have a sort of a five midfield, particularly in the centre. So we were constantly going out wide. And these are games where I think Ian Maatsen should be starting because I think Luca Dean is, he's excellent for Bayern Munich. He's excellent for when we're playing, away at bloody Arsenal, wherever. But in games like this, sometimes when you really need to break down a team and get a fullback into the area, like what Alex Moreno used to do, Ian Maatsen is that man. And we saw that in the second half when he came on. Leicester were rattled. I think James Justin made the wrong decision to try and play it out from the back. Maatsen gets in there, wins it back, works his way through into the area, pulls it back, super ball, and a brilliant run from Leon Bailey. Great goal. But yeah, that first half, I mean, the neutrals, they want their money back, as do the Villa and Leicester fans as well, to be honest. It was that bad. But second half opened up a little bit more, and you could see some signs at the end of the first half of Villa, which maybe starting to get a little bit of momentum going. But it came back out, and again, it was a similar story. Ollie Watkins largely anonymous, but actually, I think that's a bit unfair. Actually, I think Watkins did a lot of good stuff with his back to goal. He's up against two man mountains in Connor Cody and Yannick Vestergaard. If they're a WWE tag team, they'd win the belts every single time. They'd probably just, be like the skyscrapers, like Sid Vicious used to be, the Undertaker, whoever. They were the two big lads. And I think Watkins, a lot of the time, actually huffed and puffed. And he actually won a lot of the balls. He was good at winning it and turning and, making runs that can make things happen. But there were long spells where he was largely pretty quiet. And I think what sums up Watkins really at the moment, massive chance towards the end, bounces right in front of him. And a player of his ability, his quality, his numbers, he has to score that to make it 3-1. And he didn't. And I think he was quite wasteful there. I think Buendia was wasteful. And you go back to the Brighton game again, Watkins wasteful with that final chance he had. And if you're to compare Villa to this season to last season, we don't take as many chances as we did last season, and we concede more than we did last season. And last year, let's say when we beat Fulham 3-1 at home in sort of November time, Fulham, they got a goal. Villa were largely dominant. We still conceded a goal, but Villa got 3 goals, didn't we? And this season, it just feels like we don't get the third goal, and we managed to concede one more goal than we did last season. And we just simply can't keep clean sheets. We just cannot do it. Whether it's a structural problem, I don't know. But look, I'll mention that in a second because firstly, obviously, Ross Barkley's goal. You could feel Villa's momentum was building. You could feel like there was a chance coming. A fantastic finish from Ross Barkley. He loves a goal against Leicester, doesn't he? He loves a top class goal from outside the area against Leicester, as he did a few years ago at their place at the Walker Stadium or King Power now, I think it's called. And then yeah, super finish from Barkley, just what we needed. And then Villa, you're thinking, right, just go on, and space will open up. Leicester will need to go for it a bit more. And when that space opens, that is where we need Watkins and Bailey in particular to really do something, or Ramsey to turn and run into that space. Unfortunately, the ball comes to Watkins, he gives it away, and Leicester just break on Villa. Acres of space to run into because we caught out position with Matt. I think it was Matson out of position or had pushed further forward. Ming's a bit slower to react, but at the same time, there's just a lot of space for the Leicester fullbacks to run into. It fundamentally comes from Watkins giving the ball away and just a ball across. Vardy gets in front of Konsa. Great save from Martinez again. And Mavropanos there with a super low, hard finish. Villa we just can't do it. We cannot seem to do it with these clean sheets. And that ultimately, if Villa do not get Champions League this season, that's what it is. Too many games at home this season. 2-2 with Brighton. Game should have won, really. I think probably should have, particularly with the final chance we had in that game. Crystal Palace 2-2. Bournemouth 1-1. And today it could very well have easily gone, a draw. Fortunately for us, before the game today on Blue Sky, which I use far more than Twitter now for pretty obvious reasons, I said that Newcastle would beat Spurs with Alexander Isak scoring a goal. And I said if I was a betting man, I'd do that. They did it. And I said I think Leon Bailey's going to get his goal today. I wish I was a betting man because I'd be quite wealthy now. I probably wouldn't be doing this. I'd be off down the pub buying everyone a drink, celebrating. Even if they didn't want a drink, I'd buy it for them. Yes, Leon Bailey. I think there's been games recently where, particularly Brighton, but Palace as well recently, where he looked a little bit more like the Leon Bailey of old. I think he is missing Diaby. I think there's something about Diaby's game that really enabled Leon Bailey to rise to it, to be at his absolute best. I think clearly Philogene not really worked in that way. Whoever, we've mixed it up with this in the second striker role this season with Rodgers and Tielemans and McGinn. I don't think any of them have the Diaby characteristics. So I think Bailey's obviously suffered with that. Bailey also suffers when he gets doubled up on, which happens a lot now. And today in the first 70 minutes, he wasn't great, to be honest. He tried, but it just wasn't happening for him. But he kept going, and that's the key. Kept on going, and he waited for his moment. Matson gets into the area, and if you watch those highlights back, watch Bailey's run. He's really alert to it. That is brilliant. Great finish from Leon Bailey too. Great work, and you could see on his face the relief he had scoring. Because when you think of the Brighton game when Leon Bailey, he beat his man a million times, but he cut inside and he'd hesitate. He didn't look like he believed he was going to finish the shot. He did. He did today, and then from there, I think Bailey for the next 15 minutes looked brilliant. Fantastic shot he had against the crossbar, which is what then led to Buendia hitting a tame shot, headed away, and it comes to Ollie Watkins, who should just, it's undeniable this season. I love Ollie Watkins, right? I'm the president of his fan club, but it is simply undeniable this season that he's missed a lot of big chances. Arsenal game, Brighton game recently, and today. And obviously, as with Leon Bailey, who's struggled a bit recently, you cannot get on the back of these players. We have to continue to support them because, as we've seen with Ollie Watkins before, when he does get that goal, I know he scored against Brighton the other day as a penalty, but when he gets his goal from open play, he then tends to go on 10-game scoring streaks. That's just the nature of who he is. Obviously, he's got the extra pressure now of John Duran being there, scoring a lot of goals, so that maybe is on his mind a bit. But full support for Ollie. The goal will come. Just he is missing chances at the moment, and he's got it. We need him to bury those chances. But as I say, as fans, we have to support him. You can't get on his back, And I'll never support fans doing that to any Aston Villa player, whether they're on a red hot form or they're at their lowest ebb. But as with Watkins, he actually did a lot today. Fighting away. He was quiet for large spells, but there were times when he was winning the ball and in a really difficult game from against two big physical specimens. And then when that chance came, he didn't take it. But there'll come a time soon when he does take that chance and things will be all right, as we've seen before. Now, Leon Bailey, he gets that goal and things, hopefully now for him, that confidence is with him and he can go on and have an absolutely stellar second half of the season. One other note, I think when he came on, he fought hard, he hustled, he bustled. He looks like a player who needs more games. He did one or two things quite well, but he just needs games. But with Rodgers there, it's difficult to get that game time. I think, as I said earlier, I think Mings did pretty well actually. I do like Mings. I've always loved him. I think for me, he's going to be a club legend in time, just because I think what he's been through with us. I just love the man. I love the man. Otherwise, Maatsen coming on did really, really well. Ramsey came on. I think he's looked like the Ramsey we've seen recently, where he looks like a player again who needs games. There's a couple of those with it at the moment. He just looks like he's not played a lot and his timing is a little bit off. So he just needs a bit more game time, and hopefully that will come for him. McGinn obviously getting an injury. We'll see. It didn't look serious, so hopefully it's not too long that he's out for, and he can come back in a week or two, hopefully. But maybe it was just a precaution today. But look, Aston Villa, we make life too hard for ourselves. Fair play to Leicester. They did just make it hard. They defended well, as they did against Liverpool the other day. But you can see, it's difficult for them at the moment. They are not getting the results. But Villa, fair play, got that result. Now, can Villa follow this up now? Can we finally this season show some consistency? We've got a lot of games coming in January. And again, that Champions League midweek, Premier League at the weekend, that comes back into focus again. We haven't really done well with that this season. We're going to have to adapt to it. But as I say, good to keep pace with the clubs chasing Europe. Good to keep pace, and let's go for it. Well done, Villa. Got that win in the end. Phew. Up the mighty Villa.